All right, this is a really interesting assignment. Um, Depending on when you're taking this, maybe this will be required assignment or maybe this will be optional. But can I use website? You can Google it. Is a really nice site where you can see whether whether certain things are supported by major browsers. So for example, in this example, ES6. Okay, which browsers and which versions support that? And you can see what percentage of the people in the world still use that browser that doesn't support it, and so forth. So before you use some of the latest HTML5 or CSS or JavaScript things that came out, you can come to this site and find out, okay, if I use it, then 99.99% of the people in the world will be able to, I'll be able to support. Or you may find that right now it's so new that only 10% of the browsers in the world that people are using support this. Okay, now this is a CSS assignment. So for this one, you shouldn't be using tables. You could make this flexible. The key is we want you to use all the best practices that you've learned. Simply keep your HTML simple. Keep your CSS simple. You can use you can use less or Sass if you want. But indent your code properly. Make it simple, right? You review all the best practices, validate, make sure it meets the HTML standard, make sure it meets the CSS standard. You really want this to be kind of your final kind of a demo of what you're capable of. Don't use other CSS libraries for this. I think we'll just make it messy. Just do things your own way. But again, review the best practices, review your HTML and CSS, make sure you followed all the best practices, make sure things are named correctly, that is indented correctly. And if you do this properly, then your HTML should look very simple, your CSS should look very, very simple without that many IDs and without that many classes. You want to keep things very simple. The best developers are those who keep things simple. And this is why even if I'm interviewing someone who's applying for a backend position, I can usually just right click on their front end code, view source, and see how good they are. Because did they indent the code properly? Are they using lowercase on their calling their classes? Do they have too many variables or too many classes, too many IDs? And does their HTML look messy? Does their CSS look messy? And if it does, if it looks messy, then I automatically know if their front end is messy, their back end is going to be garbage, right? So again, even if you don't like front end, you want to be focused and you want to really make sure your HTML is as clean as possible, using least HTML tags as possible, using least classes as possible, using least ID. If the ID is unnecessary, don't use it. If the classes are unnecessary, don't use it, right? Keep things very, very simple. So again, that's the goal. Can you make this work beautifully with very simple HTML, with very simple CSS? Okay, good luck.